Yeah, my name's Kylie Osmond. I have a small pottery business called SmileySeahorse Ceramics, which I run here out of my home. And I've been running it full-time for about 2 years, just kind of after I got tired of doing the 9 to 5 thing. So I started it as a side hustle. I mean, it wasn't intended to be a side hustle at first, but it kind of slowly grew to be one. And then I just decided that for my own happiness sake, I should take the leap and try to make it a full-time thing, knowing that I could always go back if it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. In 2016 is when I started doing it, but it's only been full-time for the last 2 years. I just kind of got to this point, like I did the whole university thing, I got a job, did that whole thing that I thought I was supposed to do, and I just kind of got to this point where I wasn't happy. I was spending most of my time at my job, and I wasn't feeling like I was financially getting ahead. So I kind of figured that I could maybe do my own thing and I could feel the same, or it could be better. So at that point, it was worth the risk for me to take that chance because, I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? Mm-hmm. So we moved here about a month before the pandemic started. So right from the beginning, we didn't really have a choice but to try to be creative in the ways that we were going to make this work and kind of do that uphill battle, right? Like it wasn't, COVID had kind of been there right from the beginning. So it just kind of, it forced us to ask ourselves certain questions over and over and over again, right? Like, we would do something and afterwards we'd be like, well, what worked about that? What didn't? The pandemic kind of shut down all markets and in-person ways for us to sell our art. So we kind of said, well, this isn't going to work. What do we have to do to make this work? Because we obviously, it's one thing to make pottery, but we need to be able to sell it as well. So at that point, we opened up a website. We were selling things online. That was going all right. But the shipping part was kind of stressful for us, right? So we asked ourselves, what is working? What is not working? We've got our product. People seem to like it, but we would love to be able to sell it in person. So at that point, we decided, well, we can't rent a space because if the pandemic shuts us down, then we still have to pay rent. All the markets, they're kind of hit or miss right now. So we decided to open our mobile boutique. So we could pop up when we had product and when the pandemic allowed, shut down when that wasn't the case, kind of do our website in between. So yeah, kind of right from the beginning, we've been trying to find new and different ways because the things that we thought were going to be there just weren't, right? So at the beginning, when we first got here, there was a ceramic studio that I could visit, and that was shut down by the pandemic. So one of the biggest, hardest things for us to do was that we had to invest in our own equipment, and that was a big step that we had to kind of ask ourselves, like, can we make this investment in ourselves and expect that it's going to return, or is it just going to be like more debt that we're stacking on, kind of thing? So that was probably the hardest thing that we had to do, was financially take that leap for ourselves and not know if we were going to get that back. So you really have to believe in yourself. And at that point, it's like, so I'm making this investment in myself. I don't have a choice now. I have to make it work because that credit card bill is still going to be there and it's still going to want me to pay it. So you just have to figure it out. I've had a couple of breakthrough moments, really. The first one was probably when we first got here, of course, when COVID happened and I was like, but I had this plan to be an artist. That was a real downer for me at first, right? But then people really stepped up and they showed a lot of interest in my pottery just from seeing it online. And so my first breakthrough moment was realizing that even if people couldn't see it in person, they couldn't come to a market, there were people out there that wanted my stuff. And that was a breakthrough moment for me in the sense that I was like, okay, no, like I can figure this out. Like I can do this. It's going to be tough because like now there's a pandemic, but like I think I can still do this because my people are still there. They still want my stuff. They're just having a hard time getting it. So that was my first breakthrough moment. And then my second one was after we opened our boutique. That was like a really big deal for us because people could actually walk into this little mobile shop and they could like pick stuff up and they could look at it. And it was not just about the pots, but it was like a whole experience. And it really brought people out and people really loved it and they showed their support for us. I just don't believe that people were meant to work their lives away, for one, right? Like, that's just not how I want to live my life, and that's not how I want to teach my daughter to live her life. And yeah, for me, it's finding this balance between doing something that gives you the things that you need to survive, but also enjoying life fully and not just on the weekends and after work and, you know, that kind of thing. So it's really finding creative ways to make life better and make life sustainable, but in a really fun way. For one, I think I've realized that we're all a lot stronger than we think we are, for sure. Like, and if you're willing to be a little bit unconventional and resourceful, you can figure it out, right? Like you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to know where to look and know who to ask and be willing to ask. Yeah, because I think part of it, like community is a huge part of it too, right? Like you're not, I think it's important to mention that like we actually don't have a clue what we're doing, right? And it's only because we have people around us who are willing to support us and who are willing to talk to us and give us the advice that we need when we ask for it. And we surround ourselves with other creatives that it makes all the difference, right? So yeah, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to go out and find them. So we're trying to convert our garage right now to be my new studio so that it's a little bit bigger, so that there's a little bit more working space, but also so that there might be a little kind of place where people could come in and shop from our studio if they wanted to. Especially, I mean, it's possible to winterize our boutique, but also with like the amount of snow that we get and trying to drag it around and things like that, it's not necessarily the most practical solution, and sounds a little bit stressful to me. So yeah, that's kind of our next project right now, is trying to convert our garage into our new studio so that we can have people come visit. On social media, it's SmileySeahorse Ceramics, and then my website is SmileySeahorseCeramics.com.